Um, who says there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? So thank you so much for coming. There's plenty of pizza and drinks. The reason you are here is to learn about drug abuse prevention. As you know, that was kind of our safe environment training this year, and this is kind of the last piece of that training. Next Saturday, we will be hosting a drug drop-off day, and you should have seen some emails about that. You'll see some posters. It is the ability to bring unused or expired prescription drugs, literally in a bag, hand them to us. We hand them to the people who dispose of them, and it takes it all off your shoulders. But part of that also is helping, again, to make people aware of drug abuse prevention and community resources that are available and information. And so those of you who came to Behind the Orange Curtain may have met Steve Moore. He was one of our presenters, or one of our speakers, and he is here with Drug Prevention Resources Incorporated. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay. And he's going to do a little bit here about drug abuse prevention. So, take it away.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to loosen the tie a little bit. It's a little bit warm, since I'm the only one wearing a tie here. So, hi everybody, I am Steve Moore. I am a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I've been recovered for over 17 years. And so drug prevention and alcohol prevention is very dear to my heart. One of the reasons that I'm involved, I'm on the board for Drug Prevention Resources. I'm vice chair, and I have, there's a few things I have passion about. Mosquitoes is one, that's an inside joke. And one person got that. That was for one person in this room. But I also have a passion about drug prevention very strongly, because I spent a lot of years, I honestly didn't think I would live through the mess that I was causing in my own life. I've also worked with a lot of adolescents and a lot of youth and trying to help them get sober once they've started down that path. And I have to tell you, the odds of somebody young, an adolescent, sobering up are astronomically low. It's just very difficult once you get on that path to U-turn and get off the path. And so what we try to do is we try to bring the message to and educate youth so that they make better decisions and they don't ever get on that path in the first place. And that's the real key, is the prevention side of it. A lot of people think that their kids might be too young. I have to tell you, I started drinking when I was 11 years old. And so, and these days, there's a lot of kids that start really young. So it's very important to start the education process at an early age. And so that's why we're here. And I want Lamontre to talk a little bit more about that when he gets up here, because he's actually the one that works with the youth. So I want him to tell you a little bit more about that. I was actually not just, every one of the siblings in my family became a drug addict. I started when I was 11, but my sister started earlier than I did. My middle sister was killed when I was 13 years old, and she was 14. She was on the back of a motorcycle, and she was on downers and couldn't hang on and fell off and died. And so, prescription drugs in particular are something that I like to focus on, but there's almost no drug out there or kind of alcohol that I didn't partake in throughout my drinking and drugging career. And so the odds of a normal person, a regular guy sobering up, are about 1 in 250 to 1 in 400. There's no good statistics on it, but that's for somebody that's just a regular everyday person. A young person, what happens is they get this idea that they're invincible. I work with another organization down the street called CARE, and it's kind of an intervention organization. We work with kids that have already gotten in trouble at school or have been caught with alcohol or drugs, and I have to tell you, I actually facilitate and spend time with the kids, and we try to talk, and these are kids ranging from 13 to 15, 16 years old. Most of them have no desire to get sober or stop using drugs or alcohol. So once you get to that point, it's really, really hard to turn around. I first fell in love with Dpri. A friend of mine asked me to join because she knew about my experience in recovery. And one of the things that absolutely blew me away about the organization is that wherever we've spent 3 years or more working with kids and forming a coalition in the community, kids that have tried drugs, alcohol, and tobacco have dropped nearly 45%. And so that's what really made me, got me fired up about prevention. There is a way to prevent. If we can prevent just a small percentage, 10% of the kids from ever going down that path, that's going to make the recovery side a lot more simple. So as far as prescription drugs go, this is the new epidemic. For those of y'all that have been paying attention to the news, they just announced that, prescription drug use or deaths from prescription drugs has now surpassed car accidents as one of the leading causes of death. 2,500 youth start abusing prescription drugs every single day. And that it still just blows me away just saying that. 2,500 youth start prescription drugs. Most of them, 60% of those drugs come from the home or from their friends, which is probably from the home. 60%. So that's why we're leading this charge to get rid of the old drugs, get rid of the outdated drugs and the things in your house. We had a lady that actually got the dates wrong, and she brought up a bag of prescription drugs. It was about 20 pounds. 20 pounds of prescription drugs from one household. So, I mean, there's no telling what you'll find once you start looking. But I've even talked to a lot of people in recovery that have households full of prescription drugs. I know about recovery because it took me 4 years of, I was living on the streets, and let me tell you, I went to Lake Highlands, I went to SMU. You know, being homeless and unemployable are not things that are supposed to happen to SMU graduates. This thing, it doesn't care. There are no boundaries with drugs and alcohol. It affects every family in every walk of life. There's a lot of kids in Highland Park. I know kids in particular that have grown up and they live under a bridge. I knew one in particular that lived in a parking garage right over here because he couldn't get sober. So it can happen. It doesn't matter what part of town you live in. It can happen to anybody. Okay, I want to introduce Lamontre Lott. One of the things, I'm the poster child for what happens if you don't do prevention. So, because I mean, it literally took me from the time, until I was 36 years old before I sobered up. And I know a lot of people that don't live through it that long. And I know guys that at 20 years old, I mean, it happens to some people earlier than others. For me, I went to jail. I did all the things that, shamed my family. But I know guys that are 20 years old that have already killed families by drinking and driving. And so, it's no respecter of age. And so, but one of the things that was really impressive, one of the guys that went through drug prevention resources as a youth, is now one of our facilitators. And so I want to introduce y'all to Lamontre Lott and let him tell a little bit about, he can be more specific about how we teach these programs and what we do and how he works with the kids. So come on up.